Welcome viewers, Sydney Harbour, Camera Cat, 18-footer racing, New South Wales Championship Race 1, 22nd November 2020. Wherever you are in the world, viewers, nice greyish nor'easter on Sydney Harbour. We'll talk about the weather some more later, but a little unusual, the La Nina event continuing, but still good mid-range nor'east course. Joining me today on the Camera Cat, in the driving seat, Vaughan. In the commentary position, Olivia Price, Piers Hascard on the Ronin, AeroMedia, Jono Whitty and Annie McGeechan catching the drone. The event sponsor for today is Winning Group, first heat of the state championship, so 5 heats, and the defending champion is in fact Winning Group, who won without starting the last race last year. They look like they've got a bit of work to do, Olivia, don't they?
Yeah, they've been a little bit inconsistent over the spring championship we've had over the past few weeks. But I know that they were building momentum going into the second half of the season in 2019. And so I know that they're looking to put some good races together, this being the first of the New South Wales Championship, the first real scratch race apart from one club championship we've had so far. So that means that everyone on the start line doing the exact same course and finding some breeze. So there's plenty of opportunity for them to still build some momentum into next year.
Right, so for the viewers, we'll just talk about the course here for a minute. Nor'easter, traditional staple in Sydney. About half the races sailed on this course. The start line laid down near Clark Island, and a 2-mile beat to the windward mark laid, and it's a fixed mark in fact for today's race, near the Sound Pigs Reef. The first lap triangular, and so the fleet has a short VMG run toward the jibe mark, tightening the wind angle into the jibe mark at Shark Island, and the bottom reach across to the start line. The second lap, just windward leeward, so up to the same top mark, but VMG run down to where the start line was, and the third lap the same as the first. So, Olivia, it's time-honoured. It's been well-worn tracks. Today, the breeze a little in the north.
Yeah, it is a little bit different to some of the other days we've seen, Bucko. It is cloudy and that sea fog that we were talking about before. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens on this race course. I know we were both talking about an interesting left favoured track due to geography, as well as a couple of the clouds out over parts of Western Sydney, so that might even have a bigger effect on the left-hand shift. So it's going to be a busy area over there.
Well, yeah, no, it looks like the left-hand side of the track will pay, but looking at the sky, we look as if we've got a little evaporation coming from the water inside Sydney Harbour, but no sign of a thunderstorm out in the western suburbs. So the temperature here is about 21, 22 perhaps. Water temperature the same. Out west, it's about 27, 28, probably around at Olympic Park, which is about 10 miles up the creek, as we would say, but mildly unusual conditions. And we don't expect the breeze to build.
No, we don't think it's going to build too much. Some forecasts said that it might, but we've spent a lot of time on Sydney Harbour, Bucko, so we know that there's plenty of potential for it to just stay as it is and get even a little bit softer. A lot of the boats have prepared their big number 1 rig for today, so they'll be in a good position to hold on to as much power as possible. Some of the boats have opted for a little rig, so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of eventuates. But it is the first of the scratch races, so everyone is going to that same mark. So it means that we kind of start again in terms of the series, being the 3 boys handicap before. The likes of Winning Group, who haven't quite been at that front, they've had to sail the furthest distance every time. So it'll be a good opportunity for the likes of those boats to get on the same racetrack as everyone else.
So Olivia, and without going too much in detail through all the crews, but the favourite is of course Tech 2. They've demonstrated the strongest form thus far pretty convincingly. Excluding Tech 2, who do you like for the rest of the podium?
Look, I think it's really out there for anyone to take today. Finport have Matt Stenter and with Keegan driving and Phil Marshall, and they've been sailing together the last few weeks together. Dan Phillips is on board there today, not Phil Marshall. Sorry, my bad. I do like Smeg as well, with Coco on board, Dave O'Connor and Tom Anderson. So a couple of very well-established JJ Gilton sailors on board Smeg.
And so they're your two picks?
I think so. What about you, Bucko?
I would think Winnie Group should get on the podium. Strong lineup: John Winning Jr., Sevy Jarwin and Sam Newton. If I'm not allowed any pick the same as yours, it's a bit unfair, but that's life. I'd have the Oak 4 Pines Double Bay.
Yeah, they haven't really been with us the last few weeks. I know that the really windy day they didn't come out, and then the following week they weren't able to make it out either. A few crew inconsistencies over the last few weeks, but they're back on with their regulars. But
if you would recall, they have been pretty good in this nor'east stuff, haven't they? So.
Yeah, definitely. They have been. And they were doing really well in the first race of the season, taking out a first in that three boys. But, they are looking to kind of get back up onto that podium positions.
Aaron, and the reason I didn't start last week, Aaron, the skipper, was in quarantine. He was evidently he's a Qantas jet pilot, and he was doing some more training in the off season, as it were. But let's talk about the tide here. Sydney Harbour pretty full of water. Somebody's left the plug in. Turn of the tide at 3, so the tide's still flooding. Water pretty smooth, really, isn't it? Not too many big powerboats around.
No, not being the sunny summer day that we could see on Sydney Harbour, we've seen a little bit less spectator and recreational boating out here today. So it means that there is a little bit of flat water, as you mentioned, with that tide, Bucko. So the boat should be able to have a smooth run up to the top in basically comfortable conditions, because they're not going to be too overpowered. Their big rig setup will be able basically be in range, 3 of them nicely out on the trapeze and just sailing really comfortably.
What we used to call a nice day leaning back.
Yeah, those are the days you really wish for. The wings on the 18-foot skiff make it a little bit tippy at stages. So in the lighter breezes, you're crouched up a little bit, your crew are moving in and out. But today is not one of those days.
No, dead right. And, the funneling nature of the harbour, oh, wow. I'm looking at the western shore. There's some big angle going on over there. Sorry, viewers. The funneling nature of the harbour does tend to smooth it out. The wind runs as if down a sort of a bit of a pipe down the middle. But pressure against each headland and slightly less wind between the headlands in general. But we're looking forward to a pretty decent contest. The tide ebbed by the end of the race at probably about 1 knot. So that probably will have some impact. We're about to go to signals.
Yes, so 5 minutes to go. You can see the red flags on the back of the start boat there. Some of the boats are starting to line up and just get their kind of test run going. I know they've been out here quite early, not being a traditional nor'easter, more of a gradient breeze. They've been out here and doing their timed lines up to where we think kind of the first major race point is going to be at Bradley's Head.
Yes, it's probably about 0.7 of a mile from the start line to where they have to get onto the other tack. Can you lead from the leeward edge, tack and cross? Yes or no, Olivia?
I think the leeward end of the line is quite long. So I saw Yan Do Woody line up in the middle of the line before the race start and aim below Bradley's Head. So if you're further down there, you may get a bit of a wind shadow as you move into Bradley's Head a little bit further, being more north rather than northeast.
And we just come to 4 minutes. If we look up the track now, we'll see a couple of commercial vessels, a large Manly ferry.
As always, it is a little bit lighter out here, Bucko, than when we first got out here, do you think?
Yeah, if I'm looking at that, I'd say the breeze might be 10, 11, just only that, yeah.
Yeah, looking over, having a look around us, there's plenty of other flags and boats to look at to judge the wind, and the flags on the harbour bridge are just kind of floating. So, that says to me that up high there's still not as much breeze as what may have been thought when we first came out.
Yeah, and the weather models are fairly consistent, suggesting that we get 10 to 14 more or less. But it does look as though it's a long way left on the left shore, so quite interesting. So just at 3 minutes, and I think the committee has a line that's pretty good. Give opportunity to start anywhere, and
yeah, there's definitely plenty of opportunity on this race course. Winning Group is just running the line. They've been doing a lot of their line homework today. So it looks like the start will have quite a bit of impact on the rest of the race, and getting a good start in clear air, I think, is probably the most important thing heading towards Bradley's Head.
yeah, I mean, we know from history that any time you spin on port with a wind like this, near the line is usually a dead loss, more or less. So 2 tacks and any time on port, and you are relegated to Division B for a while.
Yeah, it does get a little bit tricky to punch your way through an 18-foot skiff fleet. So you do want to find clear air as your main point.
2 minutes.
So you can see that some of the 18s are lining up for the start. A couple of them still on port to just get their positioning right. You want to have a little bit of room to windward of you, but a little bit more room to leeward, so that you can accelerate in this lighter, patchier breeze. It's going to take a little bit longer for each of them to actually get up to their top speed.
That said, though, at full speed, the line is not even 1 minute long. So the final rack up on the line, not decided usually till the last 20 seconds approximately. Just we've got 1 minute 20 to go here. Tech 2 looking like they would like to own the leeward in with Shaw and Partners and perhaps Smeg. Vintech right down the other end.
Yeah, there is a bit of a cluster around Tech 2 and Bird and Bear. Yandu also in their appliances online, pushing forward of Rag and Famish and Finport.
Wow. Good stuff.
Yeah, everyone's lining up nice and on time. It's going to be quite a contested start, I think. Inside we've got 48 seconds to go, and a lot of the fleet are pushing forward.
Olivia, they've racked up early, paid their mortgages and found a spot. They're looking restrained, except for the boats at the top end who look a little far forward to me. But
yeah, it does look like they're pushing, especially Andu and Smeg. In the middle of the line as well.
With 25 seconds to go, Andu might as well sheet on now and go around the boat. Although I do recall now that the bow pole doesn't count, so.
Yep, so Rag and Famish, Vintech further down the line as well. Shaw and Partners, our only boat on port at the moment.
Andu over and can't be done. 5 seconds to go. This will be a general recall.
Yeah, this boat end of the line was very, very congested, wasn't it, with Lazarus Capital Partners and Ilvi? So that was a general recall. We did have quite a few boats over. We were talking about that just before, leading into the last 20 seconds to go, Bucko.
Yeah, I think the boats at the leeward end were fine. The guys at the boat got all jammed up and...
Yeah, there was a lot of argy-bargy going on, a bit of yelling from the kitchen maker Caesarstone. They were sitting nicely on the boat luffing ley line, and we just had a couple of boats push in from windward of there, and that's called barging. So you're definitely in the wrong if you do that. So it just created everyone punching forward, and as we mentioned, Andu was the one that really cemented the rest of the fleet to catch up and push forward. You don't want to you can kind of let one person go, but once the rest of the fleet starts charging forward as well, you want to go with them.
I don't think that was any yelling at all, actually, Olivia. That was just polite chatter.
Maybe, yeah, maybe different. So general recall is down, so we will be starting the start sequence again within 1 minute.
Yeah, 5:40 right now.
So the U flag is being raised on the start boat. So that means that if you are crossing the line within 1 minute to go to the start, you will not be allowed to continue racing. So you cannot go around the ends like you can in the I flag, and it's a little bit less harsh than the black flag, because if there is another general recall and there are too many boats to be called over, you are allowed to restart the race. So that's the difference between the U flag, the I flag, and the black flag. So that red and white checkered one on the back of the start boat, that is the U flag. So we've got 5 minutes to the next start, and no one is allowed to cross the start line with 1 minute to go, otherwise you are out of the race.
The line and the extensions, or just the line, Olivia?
No, it's just the line with the U flag.
Thank you.
It's a little bit light out here again, Bucko. I don't know if I just keep feeling a little bit more and more pressure drop.
No, I think it's sort of like it was. Bit of choppiness from the fleet being upwind of us, I think, a bit. But
yeah, the flags are going a little bit dead on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, so we could see a potential light breeze happen around us.
But if you look up the harbour in the funnel, Olivia, like, here's the thing. You know, this breeze might only be, 500 metres thick, or less, perhaps, So
yeah,
if we look up towards the jibe mark, we can see a keelboat with good heel, but the flag's on the harbour bridge, and the top of the harbour bridge is about 200 and up near 300 metres above the water level. The breeze is softer and more in the right.
Yeah, it might open up a few opportunities in that right-hand side if we spoke about the left being, dominant if we're thinking about theory, but in practice, it might be this right-hand side that might pay.
Well, it looks as if it might be changing from a game of left shore to a different game called Find the Most Pressure.
Yeah, it's a tricky game, that one, because if you're in no pressure, it's really hard to get to the next one with low boat speed.
But it's just a different mode for the crews, isn't it? It's
yeah,
different psychology completely.
Yeah, you've got to have a pretty thick skin and really back yourself in those conditions when you're just trying to find pressure. You can't second guess yourself, because the moment you hesitate, the pressure's gone and someone else is gone to take it.
And you can't tack in a lull anyway, so you have to try and join the dots together as best you can.
So Noakes Sailing is one of, I think, maybe the only boat in the fleet to have their little rig on today. So if this breeze does continue to get lighter, Sean Langman, Eddie Powys and Josh Perevsky might have a bit of work to do.
Yeah,
not having as much power as everyone else.
I think that's a byproduct not of a decision but of equipment availability. They did have problems, carbon tube failure a couple of weeks ago for their number one rig, and
didn't they?
Whilst they have repaired it, it echoes of lack of confidence in the repair job to some degree.
Yeah, so the boys of Tech 2 just doing a little look upwind, starting on that boat, just seeing where they're going to head, if there's any change in direction. So Louis and Charlie, the two crew on board with Jack, have sailed together in 49ers before and 29ers as well, as they grew up in Brisbane. So they're very used to sailing together and sailing in skiffs in these funky conditions.
And they're again lining up as if they're favouring the pin end, the leeward end of the line, away for the committee boat. So
there's a big pack just behind the committee boat. You can see that they're all starting to line up a little bit further back than they were last time, with about a minute 20 to go. They're just wanting to not get too close to that U flag and a potential disqualification if they do cross that line.
So just coming to a minute 10. Tech 2, coming back to squeeze them up a bit.
So 1 minute to go to the start. Vintech being one of the most lured boats. Rag and Famish making their way down there, as well as Bird and Bear and Yandu. At the boat end, we've got Noakes Blue, Andu again, Finport just a little bit further down, but there's also a bunch of boats that you'll just see coming into your screen: the Shaw and Partners, the Royal Oak Hotel, Double Bay Four Pines, Kitchen Maker, Caesar Stone, Smeg, Winning Group, and Ilby.
And Smeg's going to, these guys at the winner end are too racked up now. I think they're too far forward, Olivia. What would you think?
Yeah, with 20 seconds to go, there's still a long way to go. So interesting. We'll see what. Go forward. Go forward.
Oh.
So a couple of boats still on this windward side. Winning Group, one of them coming into your screen.
There will be some disqualifications here.
It might be interesting, to see what happens here, Bucko, with that U flag.
Yeah.
So Winning Group, that windward boat, just rolling Smeg there. We've got an individual recall flag, but they're just bringing that down.
I thought Winning Group and Smeg were over.
So the thing with the U flag is you can't normally go back and return from the line. So we'll keep you updated on that. Usually if you are over the line with 1 minute to go, you cannot go back and recross the line. So we'll see what happens with that one. But for now, Winning Group were very, very fast coming in to the boat end and have been able to sit on the windward side of the Kitchen Maker.
So Olivia, did you get a look at the pin end? I Tech 2 in the shade from the committee perspective. Didn't see them, but they're down there.
Yeah, they are down there. They're just below Appliances Online. Rag and Famish were the boat that were punched on that leeward side. So you can just see Yandu is potentially popping out as well. But this middle of the fleet are holding in. So we were talking about maybe that left-hand side doing well, maybe the right-hand side doing well, but this middle is still holding in.
And only just 3 strings. And the fleet here sailing in high slow mode to some degree. Everybody fighting for keep their lane clean.
Yeah, you can see, Winning Group, you've got Herman crouching a little bit, Sam Newton in, and it's Yvette, the lighter crew of Yvette on Noakes Blue that is popping out from their bows. So they've just rolled the kitchen, or squeezed the Kitchen Maker out, and Winning Group are the ones that are just battling with Noakes Blue now. So
on Noakes Blue today, Yvette Heritage, Matt Coots and Oliver Scott Mackey, and we note now a little rain on us, Olivia. What's going on?
Oh no, I'm not in for this rain, Bucko. I didn't bring my wet weather pants, but it has come a little bit from that northwest angle that those clouds were sitting at over before. Yvette just popping out and crashing a little bit. She's had to send Ollie, her bowman, in as she goes into these waves, and Winning Group just having to do the same there, though they are still living. It is desperate times to get over to this Bradley's Head point at the moment. You can see Finport just popping out in their own little breeze, but it's Appliances Online and Yandu that are the forward most punched on that left-hand group. Tech 2 are sitting a little bit further back in behind. They might get squeezed out by Vintech here, and Appliances Online might be able to go over the top of them.
Tech 2 has been doing an amazing job living in dirty air for this whole time. Tells you something about their capabilities. A bit more pressure coming down the middle of the gutter now. Fair bit of left in that though, Olivia.
Yeah, there is a bit of left in there, and it means that we are caving into this Bradley's Head side. There might be a wind shadow as we come. But we'll just see how that one pans out. I have seen Woody be the first to tack on the leeward side, on the left-hand side, and he is having to go behind Tech 2 and the rest of the left-hand fleet there. So this middle right-hand side of the start line has been a benefit for those that were able to clear the carnage. So just saw Vintech make attack and Tech 2 in behind them as well. A lighter attack, once you've got apparent speed and going fast in one direction, you've got to turn and get rid of some of that apparent speed through attack. So just trying to accelerate and rebuild their pressure.
So on the water, Noakes Blue leads from Winning Group, probably. But we think that Winning Group is probably DSQ'd, in fact, for breaking the start.
Yeah, so they're just opting to tack out there. They think they've made it enough to Bradley's head to get that left-hand advantage, but also want to just get out and away from Yvette. So Yvette's still that leading boat over to the left-hand side, and she's just gone for a tack in what I think is maybe a little bit more pressure. With there are some boats 3 stringing, so 3 people out on trapeze now, whereas before their tack they were a little bit crouched.
Yeah, and that tack propelled by spectator traffic more than anything else, I think, Olivia. But they're in a great bit of breeze.
Yeah,
So
there is a bit of pressure here.
Just pressure on the front of the little rain squall. How about that? Another wet day on the camera, Cat. Having fun so far. Oh, no, it's fantastic. So the fleet just making the best of the front of that squall. Finport also in good shape, coming off the headland. Not on screen, but Gotti.
Yeah, and I will just update. We've been watching this left-hand side really closely, but there is some gains out the right-hand side, and it's gonna really depend on if this pressure stays in or if it dies out again to see what side pays. But Ilvi was one of the boats on the right-hand side of the start, tacked off early, and they're just crossing Tech 2 there.
And plenty of spectator traffic, as you can see on screen, of various kinds. Probably now, there's a bit of a line across here. Finport, Tech 2, Ilvi, Noakes Blue, Winning Group, be about the top 6, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Looking over, Winning Group's had some great pressure as they've made their way on port tack over towards Shark Island. So they were stuck in Yvette's kind of dirty air and restricted from being able to sail their ideal mode. And now they've been able to ease their sheets a little bit, extend out, and really rip along on port tack.
Yeah. And it looks as if the breeze back to almost normal nor'east funnel here on the front of this squall, little rain squall, which has realigned the pressure and built a little bit. So another 2 knots of wind. So back to good mid-range big rig.
Yeah, Yvette's done really well there. She tacked just before some pretty big spectator waves from Bradley's head, and she's had a great angle, sailing quite high for her smaller crew weight, and it's a really beneficial mode for her to sail in these conditions where it is ideal for big rig, but she is a little bit depowered and wanting to sail a little bit of a higher mode, so that when she comes to a meet point with Winning Group, she's got an option to tack or duck.
Yeah, that's good. So guess who's coming to join the party is a certain red boat, Tech 2.
And Finport.
And Finport, but Tech 2 just about burning past them there.
Yeah, so Tech 2 were able to just sail a little bit more in phase. So they tacked in behind those left-hand boats on the left-hand side, and they just sailed a little bit smarter, sailing a little bit more in phase, and came back at Finport with a great pressure line.
No, go. Just go kneeling the sun.
So Vintech doing really well. They have won. They're rookies this season in the 18 foot. They won their first race in the Spring Championship. I think it was race 5 from what I believe. But those boys, Tom Kunich and Alex Marinelli, are 49er sailors along with Flynn Toomey. So they've been doing really well and doing a lot of training. So they're wanting to learn a lot from the legends of the 18 foot skiff class.
Yep. Don't go fast.
Let him get him.
Let him catch him. You're right.
So Keegan York opting to tack off and not make his way all the way over to that right-hand side where Winning Group were before. Matt Stenter doing pretty well on the main. No, he's in the bow, Bucko. Yeah. We were wondering if he was going to do that.
Well, let's just remind the viewers, Keegan York, Dan Phillips and Matty Stenner. Matty Stenner, Australian champion in the bow in a 16, so got the skill to do either job.
Yeah, definitely. Matt sailing with Keegan for the past few seasons on the 18s, and he's come back for this season after taking a few of the first races off. He's been busy doing a lot of other sailing. So the boat looking really nice there. Keegan is a top 20 in this Moth World Championships last year, so he does know how to steer a boat very well, and he's traditionally sailed very, very close in the groove, so making big gains, sailing close to the mark majority of the time. Looking really comfortable there, Bucko.
Yeah, got a bit more motion out than I would have thought, but they are going through the water pretty fast, and they lead the race. Them and Tech 2 and Noakes Blue are now clearly 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1. Well, sorry, with Winning Group also in that group, but we suspect the Winning Group might not be on the finishing sheet.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated about that once we hear any information. It is getting a little bit wet out here, Bucko. We're just, you know, it is raining.
Yeah,
So you can see Tech 2 on the left-hand side of your screen sailing a little bit higher than Andu on the right-hand side. So Marcus Ashley Jones having to sail a bit of a faster angle to try and get through the dirty air, that any potential dirty air that Tech 2 might be throwing at them.
Yeah, Tech 2 sailing on the jib really bolted in and a little higher. Just slightly better rig setup. But this is now a little bit uprange here now, where we are on the camera cat, just near Andu, straight behind Finport. Tech 2 directly to windward of us. Wind speed about 14 knots, so we're reasonably uprange now for these guys with the big sail.
So I'm just looking at Yvette. Her jib sheet has just blown open, so her jib's been flapping. So she is in your screen, so that's why she's slowed down just a little bit. Someone's run in, I guess it's Ollie on the bow. Someone's run in to try and reattach that jib, just the other side of Andu. They won't be too long, but it was a great start from Yvette and the Noakes Blue guys, sitting just in behind Winning Group, so they might be able to just quickly put that back on and regain that front line in the race. So the Andu crew, Marcus Ashley Jones and Cam Gundy and Geronimo Harrison. So Geronimo and Marcus did sail together on the ASCO a few seasons ago. Geronimo making a comeback after a few seasons hiatus. So we've just seen Vintech and the Rag and Famish cross in front of Andu. So they were going up the middle of the course and have come over to this left-hand side before tacking over. Vintech quite close to Winning Group there. Winning Group does cross ahead, but Vintech pulled a lot out of them coming to this left-hand side from the last time they met.
So interesting to see there. Winning Group just tacking on the lee bow of Tech 2. In plenty of wind now for the big rig. So that is the race there, Olivia.
Yeah.
Winning Group, Tech 2 and Finport, top 3. Vintech, Andu and Rag and Famish, the next 3. Noakes Blue not having any joy trying to reattach their jib sheet or repair it. And as you would be aware, Olivia, quite a complex setup, the jib clues on these boats, and if it's very delicately engineered.
Yeah, it is. You know, it is high performance, so there are a few things you've got to do in terms of the small batten down there and making sure that it doesn't come out. It looks like there could be a rip in the jib clue, so that might be that might be a little bit hard to fix. They're thinking about exactly how they're going to do it. They might have to attach it a little bit higher up. Yeah, not sure exactly what's happening, but it's heartbreaking for Yvette and the Noakes Blue boys putting that really good first half of the first beat together. I know that Yvette will be disappointed with that one, but will also take confidence that she was able to really commit herself to her start and her first part of the race and take some big gains out of some of the other front runners in today's race. So the Rag and Famish have opted to go a little bit further into the left-hand side compared to Winning Group, Tech 2 and Finport. Andu is also just on the train of those other boats on port tack. Kitchen Maker having to duck a yacht out here. And Lazarus Capital Partners in the mix as well, Bucko.
Yeah, no, they're about 6th, I think, or 7th perhaps. Anyway, the Tech 2 and the Winning boys who are in the lead. Lazarus back onto Storm. He's coming back on port now. Yep. The jib's still stuck on the mast on the Lazarus, but big fight here.
And a bit more pressure again, Bucko. We're seeing a little bit of ragging in some of the mainsails up here as well. So Tech 2, the furthest away on your screen, their main is ragging a little bit inside. So they must be fully swinging down on the trapeze as well as depowering their mainsail.
Yeah, full noise. And the breeze, you know, not unacceptable, but certainly 14, some little bits of perhaps 16.
Yeah, so the Bird and Bear just starting to tack off there from Yandu. So the Lazarus Capital Partners, so Lachlan Steele, Jerome Watts and Matt Doyle. So Lachlan and Jerome sailed 16s together at St George Sailing Club, but they're putting this really comfortable race together. They're about mid-fleet at the moment, and they are rookies for this season.
No.
So Shaw and Partners have got a bit of a new crew as well.
Oh. Little incident there between Tech 2 and Winning Group. And possibly we'll see Tech 2 do a penalty turn here. But they might think that, here they go, Tech 2 doing a penalty turn.
So Bucko, were they on port?
Yep, they were.
So they were on port and didn't
forward.
quite avoid Winning Group? Or I'm not quite sure, I didn't see it happen.
Oh. Just didn't quite cross.
Okay, so that's the first one to Winning Group. So with Tech 2 doing a penalty turn, it could mean that Winning Group are sitting pretty in first. Smeg doing well today. So Coco's got Dave O'Connor and Tom Anderson on board today. So new crew combination with some of the usual suspects on Smeg sailing some 16s up at the state championship today. So that's why Dave O'Connor and Tom Anderson are sailing with Coco on Smeg.
You're right, mate.
So great shot here of Winning Group, 3-stringing, sitting really nicely, really balanced in that main sheet compared to the jib. Herman sitting a little bit higher just to see all those gusts coming in with Sevi and Sam flat trapping.
Yeah, full noise, no doubt here. So we're only about a minute sailing from the Winning Group mark. Winning Group look like they're not laying. Mark is just...
That's the turn, Mark.
Go.
Yeah, they do have a little bit of a lead up their sleeve after Tech 2 having to do that penalty turn, and you can see them in the distance of your shot. But Rag and Famish are probably in second place, and they still definitely have 2 tacks to go. So if the Winning Group can just put the foot down and then sail higher when they've got the speed, I think they may be able to lay.
No, body language says they're trying to lay. Whether they can or not, another question without 2 little tacks.
Yeah, it would be a big benefit to them if they didn't have to tack.
Just slowly.
So it looks to me like they're sitting a little bit more comfortably now, looking back over their shoulder at Rag and Famish sitting higher, trying not to do 2 tacks. But it is Winning Group approaching the mark and starting their bear away.
So, Liv, we think winning groups actually DSQ'd, though, don't we?
Yeah, we did. There was an individual flag put up for the UFD flag, meaning that anyone close or anyone over the line within 1 minute to go of the start will be disqualified for the race. So I haven't had any official comms from anyone, but it did look like they were pushing the limits.
So good effort up the beat from the Rag and Famish boys and the young Otto Henry and Pete Nicholson. Cleanly second, Vintech third. Good effort from them.
Yeah, awesome effort for Vintech. They are the rookies this season, and they've been going to, you know, when we talk about the Three-Boy Championship, they've been going to the red mark. So great to be up in the top third of the fleet. Bit of a pack coming in now, Bucko.
The peloton is arrived, and Tech 2 still just in the middle of all that in about seventh, despite a penalty turn. So not bad. Great hoist on the Yandu.
Yeah,
great,
it was, wasn't it?
Great hoist on the Tech 2. Still, crew work from all the leading boats pretty good. Shaw and Partners be disappointed with that. And the Smeg also probably wouldn't be all happy with that. And a big fight there between Smeg, Royal Oak and Shaw and Partners. No.
Yeah, the Shaw and Partners has got a new bowman on board today, Max Paul, who is a young sailor. He's a 49er sailor. He's first time on board in 18, so could be a little bit of an initiation here.
I think I know young Max. All good.
Okay, coming around is the Bird and Bear, skipped by James Doran. So he's making a comeback after Tom Clout's not able to sail today. And the Lazarus Capital Partners coming around here as well.
Oh, Bird and Bear. And
so terrible set from the Bird and Bear. John Walton won't be that happy with that as the bowman.
Halyard up, halyard down, spinnaker in tide, not very tidy.
No, tricky one for them because the boat will just spin round more into the breeze. So Noak sailing with their little rig just coming around the top mark now, followed by Ilvi.
We're going to wait for the last boat.
And there's one more to come. We've got Birkenhead Point Marina also making their way up on the ley line to the top mark. So Bird and Bear just fixing their spinnaker there. But further down the track, it is the winning group.
Good, Jono?
So Lazarus Capital Partners just jibing and getting their spinnaker set. We're getting a little bit more left-hand angle as we make our way down towards Shark Island. So people having to jibe a little bit earlier.
Plenty of north in the breeze.
Get us close to
So Finport they did have a bit of a tricky jibe on that jibe point. And they're just in behind the screen here with appliances online and Vintech a little bit further down towards Nielsen Park. So the appliances online crew of Simon Nern, the Commodore at the 18s, Tom Grimes, who's a youth match racing world champion, and Brandon Byink on the bow.
They're kind of at the back of the peloton. Breeze now looks like it's just faded a little bit down this part of the harbour.
It is very up and down here.
Yep.
Out here today, you know, we've had anywhere from probably 9 to 14, 15 knots, and it's really pulsing with the pressure and these rain squalls that keep coming out. So it's really an eyes open day and looking around at the clouds and we're using anything you can to try and judge what's happening.
Go fast.
catch up.
So the and-do in that blue spinnaker there with Tech 2 just punching out a little bit into the main channel. Smeg and Shaw and Partners with the Royal Oak Four Pines Kitchen Maker Caesarstone there as well. And Yandu just to leeward of them, sitting in 4th place at the moment. So these are the top 3 on the screen. We've got Winning Group leading Rag and Famish back towards Shark Island, where our mark is, and Vintech sitting nicely in 3rd. So how about the Rag?
Go forward a bit.
It's the first time they've really been up here at the beginning of the since the beginning of the season. So Anthony, Jack Young, Otto Henry and Pete Nicholson sailing together. They've been sailing together the last few weeks at least.
Correct. So these guys still VMG running towards the jibe mark. And
So Otto Henry, yeah, sorry, you go.
a fair bit of spectator and other vessel interference down the first part of that run. Finport had to take a major evasive action from a charter vessel, but we're just watching these guys trickle down. Rag and Famish narrowly behind Winning Group. 3rd is Vintech, 4th is Yandu. Ominously in 5th is Tech 2, and they have skipped away from Finport pretty convincingly, and Smeg also in the hunt. A little more wind coming around the corner at Nielsen Park right now, just between where the camera cat is and where the boats are, but they're sort of VMG running in about 12 knots of wind.
Yeah, great shots here of the Winning Group just leading Rag and Famish Coopers. One crew member in, just trying to sail, like you said, Bucko, the VMG running, so coming up to some pressure and then running away with it to try and make their way back down towards Shark Island, so that when they do jibe, they're in a great position to go to the bottom mark. It's really tricky stuff out here today.
Yeah, it's sort of weird, wasn't it? You know, a little bit of rain, the breeze went back and forth. The spectators racked up to be in the way. There was a keelboat in the racetrack not giving way when on port. Apart from that, just an ordinary day in Sydney Harbour, really.
Yeah, it does sound like a day on Sydney Harbour with plenty of action all the time. Now, I did see just before we made our way down here that Noakes Blue had their spinnaker up and headed back towards Double Bay Sailing Club. I don't think they were able to solve that jib problem.
Almost by definition insoluble, I would have said, yeah. So
Yeah.
this will be interesting in the next leg with the wind a little further left than normal. This bottom reach might be quite tight. Winning Group just coming towards the jibe point, and they'll have a go at an early jibe here, I think. No, let...
So you can just see Winning Group going for their jibe there. There was a lot of conversation on board between Herman and Sevi. Sevi sitting in the middle of the boat, and Herman just discussing probably when the opportune time was to jibe.
How many angels on the head of the pin today was the debate. The order here, the Rag in second, making it look difficult.
Yeah, big spinnaker ease into that jibe, which is not what you want. So a little bit of a slower turn out of there, and giving Vintech a little bit of a sniff, but Tech 2 back in the mix.
Had a good line of pressure coming, and Tech 2 back up to second. Winning Group not laying, looking forwards from where we are on the camera cat, but we'll get back to that in a minute. But as we anticipated, the leg bottom reach here a little tighter because of the average wind direction. Fleet just ripping past us here on the camera cat. Vintech, Rag, Tech 2 in a pretty strong position though there.
Yeah, Tech 2 are used to sailing in these marginal conditions. Their crew weight together and crew work is very, very slick.
Yeah, follow these guys.
So their angle is a long way towards towards Double Bay rather than the Market Clark Island. So that is a little bit of left breeze as we make our way around this last part of the first lap.
And if that's confusing the viewers, yachtsmen always talk about the breeze as if we always looking upwind. So we talk about the direction relative to pointing ahead at the wind, as it were. Tight angle here. We would suspect that Tech 2 will get round the bottom here in second, having picked it best, I think. On screen, Andu and Sherwin Partners just going through the lee of Shark Island now, which is always a little bit problematic. And
yeah, Andu was up on their ear a little bit. They were up on their ear a little bit before they were windward, and that's just that Island breeze that you were talking about, Bucko.
Plenty of incidents in this little bit of water here. Vintech also been struggling, not on shot, but off to really struggling now.
Yeah, just to the screen, the Vintech boys touring crew weight. Like 2 is probably one of the bigger boats in the fleet. So the two of them went round together. It is Tech 2 and the wreck that have just sailed away from Vintech. Now taking 4th spot in the first race of the States.
Yep. So just counting from the front, off in the distance there, winning group 2 second, Rag 3rd, Yandu 4th, probably Sherwin Partners 5th, Yandu 6th, and Vintech probably going to get relegated to 7th or 8th here, Royal Oak the next boat. So that's the top 8. But we do think that winning group for 1 has been disqualified.
So the breeze is settled as we
Yeah.
Yeah, as much normal as we can kind of say on a day like this.
Yep.
Winning Group are the first boat to tack off further up the course, so just a little heads up that we might see a little bit of change. Oh, actually, sorry, I lied. They're not the first boat to tack up, but they were the furthest left boat. Oh, the Bird and Bear.
So a quick bath for the Bird and Bear. Not having a good time today. That's going to secure them last place convincingly. My goodness.
Yeah, the Lazarus Capital Partners here, not able to get their spinnaker down either, and not in the halyard, making it a bit tricky for the lighter crews on the windward side to hold it down. So the Lazarus Capital Partners still trying to drop their spinnaker. We're in a little bit more pressure now, Bucko. Pulse back in.
Yeah, pulse back in front of a new little bank of cloud. So strange sort of mildly cyclonic conditions. That actually a decent high pressure, a couple of high pressure cells in the Tasman Sea, but a little trough line as well, and God knows, just some localised stuff here. Wind back up to 14, 16, looking upwind.
Hit the Bradley.
So the Bird and Bear have righted themselves at the bottom mark. So they'll be in 17th place with Noakes Blue, the only retirement so far after that jib issue. Ilvy's main backing a little bit there. They're wanting to get themselves down a little bit on their wire, maybe depower their sail a little bit and stop it from flapping. A little bit of that up pressure. Finport having a bit of a tricky tack up there, a bit of a left-hand angle, so it made them kind of do an auto tack and the breeze tacked themselves.
Yep, so the front of this little squall breeze up to about 18 knots for a sec here. We don't know for how long, but probably not for too long, maybe for a third of a beat or something like that. We're travelling with Finport up on the left edge. No, I think he's just pulling the centreboard up a bit.
So I just watched the watched a cross between Winning Group and Tech 2, our first and second places, and Winning Group still holding on to that lead. They are split tacking, meaning that they're separating from each other with each of the tacks and then coming back, hoping that their side won. There's no real protection thoughts from Winning Group just yet, and Tech 2 is being very aggressive in their tacks. So Shaw and Partners, our leftmost boat at the moment, sitting on top of the Kitchen Maker and who we just went past, Finport. So they're probably looking a little bit overpowered at the moment, maybe wanting to pull a little bit more of their depowering tools, although it does look a little bit flat, their sail there, Bucko.
No, they're looking not too bad. It's pretty uprange. And I'm not sure they're the heaviest crew on the water by any stretch, so... They're travelling okay. They did have a little pit stop to do something earlier, I saw, but they're looking composed. They've got a bit of work to do, though, haven't they? They're about 2 minutes adrift of the lead, perhaps a little more even, perhaps even towards 3 minutes. Interesting. Breeze bending left again here.
So the Andu and the Royal Oak Double Bay Four Pines coming from the right-hand side, but you'll see that they'll start caving into some left pressure up here because just in front of them is the Rag and Famish and Tech 2. Some really, really left and west breeze coming in here. The winning group did very well to get out onto it, but you'll see the Rag and Famish and the Andu just start caving in. So those boats, the Yandu, all tacked a little bit earlier. They couldn't get further into this left. They would have sailed a big knock to get there.
Interesting amount of volatility.
Yeah, we just saw through this last minute to 2 minute period a variation in wind angle from, maybe even 30 degrees difference. So that's a big difference on the race course if you're able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. So Tech 2 here, breeze back down to around around 10 knots, 12 knots, 10 knots. Winning group now leads easily from Tech 2. Very lumpy pressure. So, big spike in breeze that lasted a good solid 2 minutes there, Olivia.
Yeah, that's probably the longest we've seen it last for.
So you see the crews are working away at the rig controls, but also a little bit of centerboard up for the really strong stuff. And that's not an easy job to get it up and back down again.
No, especially when they've got load on it, if they're sailing in a straight line.
Exactly. No stoppage of the boat, just keep sailing, and the forward end's got a muscle. Muscle, muscle, muscle.
So winning group looking really nice along here, very smooth, not too much movement in the helm or the main sheet, so they look like they're in range as they make their way over to Nielsen Park, and they've, as Bucko said, they've extended quite a lot.
Yeah, they just ignored the left-hand shift and just stayed in the constant pressure. The guys that went left paid a lot to get left and then didn't get much wind, I think. So a bit complex combination of things happening here.
Yeah, the winning group sailed their own pressure line across on Port Tack over towards Nielsen Park, whereas the Tech 2 and the likes of Yandu and Andu had to sail a big knot to be able to get any gain, and then by the time they tacked, the breeze was actually swung back into the right, so even more advantage to winning group there.
So the order on the water now, winning group leads by more than a minute from Tech 2. Just across coming up here, Yandu and Andu, and Yandu third, Andu fourth, Royal Oak Four Pines fifth. Just remind the viewers that we do think that winning group might get the DSQ sticker attached, however, for being over at the start.
So it's not often in a nor'easter that we are over on this right-hand shore so early, Bucko.
Well, Nielsen Park's not a bad place to be on the right edge if you must.
If you must.
If you must, yeah. But, I mean, if you could read the sky upwind of us, there's some decent cumulus coming in rising up over the land to windward of us. But I think it just signifies a little bit more wind and the reversion back to the pretty standard 030 type wind direction. And, the conditions are now back to moderate, really, aren't they? 12, 14 knots again. Harbour still pretty bumpy, though, isn't it? A lot of small boat wash, a lot of wash from powerboats, ferries, and other things. Not bothering the skiffs too much, but lumpy.
So Tech 2 sitting sitting comfortably there, a little bit into windward, just on the windward side of Yandu. So a reminder that Tech 2 did actually do a penalty turn on the first upwind because they infringed on Winning Group, who are our leaders. So smart thing for them just to wipe themselves clean of that turn and put themselves back in the competition. Being the first of the New South Wales State Championship races, there's still 4 more to go.
And the fleet's got pretty spread out here. The gap between Winning Group and 5th, 6th is now several, 3 to 4 minutes. Winning Group gone, really, so just depending on whether they are officially racing or officially disqualified. So 4 Pines also probably, they're just tacking now, so they had the big wave off the spectator ferry, but 4 Pines just in line, Yandu front of screen.
So it's the first time that they've got their crew back together for a few weeks. We mentioned that they didn't sail for a few of the races, with Aaron not being able to sail last week, and Courtney Marr actually not being able to sail last week because he had his wisdom teeth out. So there was another one where they just couldn't get their crew together. Charlie Gundy being a regular in the bow, doing very well there, but he's been sailing with different people all season. So I know that they've got a really good crew base together, sailing together for the last few seasons now, and all very experienced 18-foot skiff sailers. So this might be some time for them to start building some consistency in the series.
Well, Olivia, if you recall the Gilton last year, big rig in, this sort of stuff, they were close to the podium and on a consistent basis. They seem to like the Nor'easter and not the Southerly, but can't blame them for that. And they're only, what are we looking at here, 90 seconds behind Tech 2? Admittedly with Tech 2 having done a penalty turn, but 4 Pines didn't start particularly well, so they've made some good decisions to get to where they are on the race course right now. Breeze building again up the top of the track here. Andu is going to come from the left edge though and be in front of them here, so
So yeah, we are in a bit more consistent breeze as we make our way up to the top mark. The cross between Andu and Yandu just on the right-hand side of your screen there, with Andu taking themselves into 3rd place. So they'll be coming close to Tech 2. You can see that they're just in behind them. So the left-hand side having a little bit of an impact, Bucko. It's nice to see that there really is both sides are paying, depending on when you get there.
yeah, and it was a bit of a trap the first half of the beat, wasn't it? But now it's back to, as we sort of said, regulation nor'east, where historically it has been the preferred track. And the tide now beginning to ebb, so not bad current-wise either on that edge.
Yeah, so Andu were able to put a really nice race together in the Spring Championship, having a first place, a one that Marcus hasn't seen for a few seasons. So he was very happy to take that win and looking to build some consistency with his crew, with Geronimo in the bow and Cam Gundy on the main. So we spoke about Charlie Gundy being on the Royal Oak. Yeah. We've got his older brother Cam in the middle of Andu.
A brotherly contest. Oh, you love them. So just now, just for the viewers, Winning Group rounding the Winning mark. We'll keep the clock on.
Yeah, so, Andu and Tech 2 sitting very closely from that last cross in 2nd and 3rd. and do look to be a little bit under the ley line to the top mark, so they might have a few more tacks involved, but we'll just see what happens. There's plenty of shift out here. So no luck with Andu trying to lay that top mark. It looks like they will have to do 2 more tacks, whereas Tech 2, who crossed just in front of them on the last time, are sitting nicely on the ley line.
As usual, Tech 2 pretty accurate with that stuff. So that's just a minute that the winning group leads by. But let's just have a look. Let's have a look at the hoist on the Tech 2. They've been very good so far this year, as we noted. So it's about a minute 15 or thereabouts.
So winning group opted to jibe at about half their distance that they had ahead. They jibed at about half that distance and just making their way down the harbour into the main part of the harbour, because we are doing we're not going around Shark Island this time, are we, Bucko?
She's a VMG run straight back down to the bottom mark where the start finish line is. Tech 2 jiving pretty promptly, deciding that the headers on the header and pressure on the western shore will be favoured. Pretty good kite set, 10 seconds. I sort of timed it at. It's A grade. And Yandu doing a jibe set, which is old-fashioned, but...
I think it was a good option, the jibe set, with Andu struggling to get much pressure. They've had to sail a lot higher to build that, and then now they go for a jibe underneath Yandu. So, you know, I think that old-fashioned move was a smart one.
Well, it used to be sort of standard operating procedure in a genuine nor'easter, but you can see the starboard jibe is the favoured leg, and it did appear that Andu sailed into slightly less pressure towards the eastern shore, so wouldn't be surprised to see Yandu come out in front of them after all that.
Yeah, the tricky part with the windward set, just like Royal Oak Double Bay Four Pines is doing, is that you've got to get your spinnaker up before you can bring your bow up towards where the pressure is. Otherwise, the spinnaker sets inside your jib, and that's a real punish for the bowman to try and bring that around. So it's a real timing effort, and it takes a lot of skill and crew work to be able to nail that one perfectly.
They're just following Shore and Partners bear away at the top mark. Cruising boat in the mix here somewhere. Oh, their jibe setting, good on them.
Yes, so that's 7th for Shore and Partners.
So Vintec will be 8th, Finport will be 9th, Smeg will be 10th. That's an unusual location for the Smeg, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. They did go back at the start. They looked like they were going to have a good start, obviously being quite close to the line, if not over. They did go back to the start. But as we said, the UFD, the red or white checkered flag, means that you can't actually go back and return to the line. It means that you're disqualified if you're over within 1 minute to go. So we'll see what happens with them. And that's probably why they've struggled. So Shore and Partners spinnaker up, little crouching in there as they go into a little bit of light pressure. The sun's starting to open up, Bucko. This is interesting.
Yeah, we've had it all. Rain, hail, shine, all good.
Yeah, it's a little bit hotter with that sun coming out. A little bit of a die in the breeze as well.
Yeah, a bit of suppression on them. I don't know what's happening now, but not as much wind, that's for sure.
Yeah, crew member in on the Rag and Femish up there as well. And I'm looking a little bit further around, and most of the crews are doing the same thing. They're just wanting to make sure that they hold enough power with enough crew weight out on the side, but also sail close down to the mark. It's a great shot there of the Rag and Famish from our AeroMedia drone.
couple of big powerboats just carved it up a bit here, and a bit more coming too.
Yeah, Tech 2 just to the left of our screen, a little bit further ahead, are sitting really high in their angle, sailing into no pressure out here. So you can see just in front of them, they're looking just to accelerate before they can jibe back, because we've had a lot of those recreational boats out here chopping the water up, moving things around. So there's the jibe from Tech 2, a slow one because there isn't much pressure out here.
Yeah, the boat's now VMG running in a 8 to 10 knots of wind only, and perhaps even a little less, I think, in the soft spots. So tricky stuff. Andu choosing not to go near the shore, though thinking it might be better in the middle. On screen now, just completing their job. Tricky stuff.
Yeah, you've really got to be thinking a lot, like a long way ahead in this light, shifty breeze, because it could really come from anywhere. So you want to be able to sail fast whenever you can. So you don't want to be pushing the limits of stall or going too high. You just want to sail a faster mode just so that you can react to anything that comes your way.
Just attached flow VMG running. Apparent wind in front of the boats in this sort of wind speed. Apparent wind around 80 degrees. Not that the things have got any instruments on them, but that's the reality. Jibe angle pretty close to 90.
So just further in the distance on the left-hand side of the screen is our leaders, winning group. They've been able to sail their own race the last the last lap really. They really consolidated that left-hand shift halfway up the work and then just sailed their own race in their own breeze, in their own time.
Yeah, they were pretty clever up that beat, but Tech 2 clearly second, Yandu third, Andu fourth, Four Pines, Rag and Femish. It's about us, isn't it?
Yeah, then Shaw and Partners just in behind there.
Yep, Shaw and Partners 8th or something like that.
So you can see that there are still some lumps and bumps out here from spectators and other recreational crafts. So, you know, they do split the fleet, meaning that some people get an advantage from some of those waves and some people have to tough it out and get through them on a worse angle. So, you know, that's all just part and parcel of sailing, really. It's dealing with whatever comes your way and trying to basically make a gain out of it. It's not always going to work, but you can't control the wind and you can't control the water around you. All you can do is control your reactions.
If you get the decisions right 80% of the time, you usually end up on the podium, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's about who makes the least mistakes. There's always going to be mistakes out here. You're always going to make them.
No, you don't call them mistakes. It was just the probability didn't quite work, you know. I've got all the 80%ers and, you know. So a race of many elements thus far. A little bit of spiky wind at the start of the beat. Breeze now soft over the whole track. Looks reasonably stable, but 10 knots more or less, or a little less perhaps. And I suspect here Tech 2's made a gain on winning Group 2, Olivia, looking downwind. And sorry, back off in the distance, you can see Tech 2 winning group coming to the cross, and they in front, but the distance has been reduced.
Yeah, I think Tech 2's just sailed a closer line down to the bottom mark, sailing further, sailing a better angle down towards there. And, you know, sailing a long way, like if you're a long way in front in conditions like this, it's actually riskier and trickier to be able to defend. So, you know, you could even spend some of your lead to make sure that you're in the lead the next time they cross.
Yeah, but that's, you know, they've probably halved. They've halved winning group's lead there, I would estimate. Anyway.
Yeah, they've definitely taken some out of them. And now they're going to split away from each other again. So, you know, we're going to have, again, a winner and a loser out of those two. They might extend, or they might actually compress a little bit more.
Well, Olivia, first sight of the flags on the Harbour Bridge, what are they telling us? Thick nor'easter, right?
Yeah, very, very light and just limp flag flying there. So, look, if that's anything to go by, then we've got a little bit more to come in this last lap of the race, lap and a half, really.
Yeah. But it looks as if the strongest wind is indeed about where we are, or on this side of the track, in fact. So we would favour, winning group. I'm sorry, Yandu, Tech 2 sort of thing. Probably it's pretty soft right down the Harbour Bridge itself, yeah? So another a mile further west.
Yeah, and Tech 2 have just jibed in behind that line of Yandu, so you can see them just near the Harbour Bridge, the line of the Harbour Bridge there. So they do think that there's probably some pressure out this side where we are. So, they're wanting to make sure that they try and get whatever the pressure that Yandu and Tech 2 and Andu get, they're wanting to try and make sure that they get something similar so that they're not extending too far away.
Very interesting. What could possibly go wrong? In the background, Winning Group, John Winning Jr. In the foreground, Yandu, John Winning Senior. All good. Pretty good yacht race there. Winning Group got about, by the look of that, 30 seconds. And about another 30 seconds to Yandu for third. And Andu in fourth. But looks as if they've dropped off the back of that pack, Olivia, yeah?
Yeah, they have dropped a little bit back. They're probably going to be closer to the middle pack of Royal Oak and the Rag. I think that was probably because they went through a big lot of slop on the wrong side compared to Yandu and Tech 2, so they got a little bit more of an advantage in the main part of the harbour, whereas Andu has not been able to sail as much of their own race as they probably would have liked.
Interesting here, the breeze does look a bit more stable in the vicinity of Bradley's Head here now. And the wind on the top of the Harbour Bridge, just to report that, 150 metres up or 200 metres up and a mile away, very thick, very thick. So still volatility, plenty of cloud action. Big spread now between Winning Group on this edge. Just lining up for their last jibe into the bottom mark. And Tech 2 far away from us on the other side. But cold wind here, easterly, slightly stronger easterly where we are. We're just travelling with Winning Group.
Yeah, by comparison, Tech 2 look to be really pressured up on the other side over towards Bradley's Head. They do look to be quite pressured up as well, a little bit sailing closer to the line of the mark.
Well, Winning Group was optimistic that was a ley line jibe.
It looks pretty good to me.
It looks okay, doesn't it? As they develop apparent, and their body language says, yes, we've got it about right. Well, we're thinking about it now.
It is really tricky to pick from so far out. They did a really good job of coming down to the point and trying to get as much of that breeze compression as possible in that jibe, and now they're in the maximum pressure, so you can see Tech 2 coming at them from the other jibe.
But Tech 2's closed up some more there, and we did see some pretty good stuff from Tech 2 in the Giltland last year downwind, so the lead is going to be about, and Tech 2's got the advantage here of having a look at the jibe angle that Winning Group's sailing. They will have observed that and know that they can jibe slightly earlier, so they'll get really in contact here with the leader.
Yeah, we've still got a pretty good lap to go, Bucko, being the finish back down here in 1 lap's time. And with the volatility that we've seen so far, we can expect a bit more of an elastic band, extending away, then coming back and extending away. And it's really, Winning Group have a little bit of an advantage. They can defend with that amount of lead that they've got.
Yeah, but I have suspected that Tech 2 is slightly faster upwind than Winning Group in the mid-range. But here they come. Here's the acid test.
So nice clean drop from Winning Group there.
Yep. Oh, Jesus.
Wanting to sail really high angle out of that mark and not let Tech 2 come anywhere to windward of them, really restricting their options and defending their lead.
Well, we're about to see the squeezing match here, so both boats trying to sail as high as they can to deny the other boat clean air. And this is a lift drag contest if you're a aerodynamicist.
So Yandu coming around in third place here, and it's really compressed the fleet a little bit. We said that Andu had dropped off a little bit. Royal Oaks come to the party in fifth place, sorry.
Pretty tidy work from everybody there. Andu not quite so precise. Royal Oak 2 short jibes at the bottom. Nice line of wind coming down.
Quite a consistent train for the next few boats coming around here.
They're separated by one amount of dirty air per boat. Olivia, how about that as a theory?
And you can see the train going upwind there as well, of the Winning Group in first, Tech 2 second, and Yandu in third. It's just kind of follow the leader at the moment.
Well, tight air, you have to go to Bradley's. There's more pressure and better current, so no choice about what you do. It's just a matter of how you do it. And Anders decided that's too hard, bailed out. But Shaw and Partners around the corner, Rag around inside. Ooh.
So Finport making their way back into the top 10 after they've sailed really well that second lap of the race.
Yeah, they must have. A little bit untidy at the bottom, but they got the shoot away. Vintech still hanging in there. They were to learn a lot today, though, Vintech, I think. They know that they can compete. They just have to get a little bit better at some of the tricky bits.
And Smeg opting to tack right around the bottom mark.
Well, too much dirty air there, Liv. Even you would have tacked then, wouldn't you?
Yeah, just a short one, I think. You know, just a couple of boat lengths in order to clear your air, but you've got to come back. As you said, Bradley's head is the way you want to be going.
Yep. They'll just sail for about 30 seconds on port. Clear completely. More pressure coming down the middle of the river again now. So the fleet now from... The leaders went around the mark in around 8 to 10 knots of wind, perhaps only a little more. Breeze now, the next little pulse. 12, 14, perhaps some 16 coming again. How about that?
We've got everything happening out here on the harbour today, Bucko. So I expect a couple more pulses and changes as we move up to the top. So these crews are really going to have to think not one step ahead, but probably 3, 4, 5 steps ahead and making sure that they're able to attack anything that comes at them.
So just to recap the order at the bottom. Winning Group, Tech 2, Yandu, Andu, Rag and Famish, sorry, Royal Oak 4 Pines, Rag and Famish, Shaw and Partners, Finport, Vintech, the kitchen makeup. So a bit of gear changing to do here for the crews. Little squall on the front of a dark cloud. Doesn't look like it's going to rain, but a bit of quite solid pressure.
Yeah, I think Tech 2's in the maximum pressure that we've seen for the day at the moment, which is a good thing for them. They do like this overpowered big pressure stuff. It means that they can just lock in and really sail their own mode. They're really good at it.
It's not about the tactics anymore at this wind speed. It's just about accurate boat handling. Yeah, we've just seen Winning Group perhaps go a little too far in at Bradley's. We're just trailing behind Tech 2. Manly Ferry incoming on screen as well. Closer than it looks. Like one of those mirrors.
Yeah, the objects may seem closer than they appear or something like that, right?
That'll do it.
So it looks like Winning Group will be able to go on the left-hand side of that ferry, whereas Tech 2 has sailed through a little bit earlier on the right-hand side. Neither of them affected.
No, well done by both boats. And bumpy sea.
Just seeing the Winning Group bounce up and down on those ferry waves. I don't think it will affect them too much though, because we are in maximum pressure.
Yeah, the good old Manly Ferry, 800 odd tonnes I think from memory, and going towards the CBD at 16 knots makes a big hole. So good old drag race now, Olivia, really. Wind now just back to regulation 14, I think, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. The Winning Group sitting on the windward side in some pretty clear pressure. There's really no boats up to windward of us too much, apart from a police boat that's just streaming through. You'll see the Winning Group chop those waves soon, but it does look really nice, that drag race sort of condition over to the right-hand side, and Winning Group doing a great job of defending this lead that they had, and it has expanded and decreased throughout the race, but they've been able to just back themselves in their decisions.
Yeah, so Winning Group actually stretched out a little bit there. Probably now 20 seconds in front of Tech 2. And Winning Group a little bit further back. I'm sorry, Yandu a little further back. Probably 30 to 40 seconds.
Yeah, you can see that Winning Group is just sitting really comfortably up on the windward side of Tech 2. They're not covering them, but they are defending the lead. So they're not, if Tech 2 was to tack, Winning Group have all the options in their hands to be able to make their own decision, whether they want to force Tech 2 to do something else that they may not want to do, or go and take their attacking position for themselves. Not seeing much backing of the mainsail on Winning Group, so they do have a lot of their depower tools activated, and the sail looks quite flat, and they look really comfortable, a little bit into windward, crew weight out, sailing comfortably. I'm sure they'll be talking about exactly what pressure's coming in and how they can squeeze a little bit more out of the boat.
Yeah, no, I bet they're talking about the yacht in front of them. That's dead right. The old East Sail Sail School, a lot of boats on the harbour, and sometimes too concerned with the students and not concerned enough about the rules of the road, but all good. Yep.
So Tech 2 have tacked to windward of Shark Island. You can see them just how much lead Winning Group's actually extended from just sailing a little bit in the left-hand shift as it approached.
Yeah, Tech 2 would be a bit unhappy with that result there, but and Winning Group going to tack to cover more or less.
Yeah, so they took that big gain out of the left-hand side, sailing in really clear pressure. And it does look, I don't want to say consistent, but it does look like there is some pressure continuing up the harbour. So we shouldn't see too many more little crashes, and dare I say that.
Touch some wood, Olivia, touch some wood.
Yeah, touching it right now. It does look really nice out here for the last lap of the race. So as Bucko said, Winning Group have about a 20 to 30 second lead over Tech 2. And they're sailing off onto the left-hand side, so the western side of Sydney Harbour.
Yeah. So the water will bump up a little more as the afternoon wears on, as the ebb tide gathers speed, but I don't think it's going to be a factor for the leaders too severely. Probably wind speed 14, around 14 here where we are, pretty much with Winning Group.
Yeah, so we just saw before Tech 2 tacking off, and Winning Group just doing a tack there to follow and let Tech 2 breathe out to this right hand side, so that when Tech 2 does eventually tack, Winning Group still has the upper hand. So they are thinking, you know, quite a few steps ahead and thinking, okay, how are we still going to be able to win this race if anything goes really volatile? They're really sailing really low risk.
Yeah, and Winning Group probably happy to stretch it all out and minimise tax from this point on, I would say also. But
so still nice pressure as we make our way up the last part of the work, the last work of the day, with Tech 2 in second. We could have had a few movers and shakers into third, Bucko. You know, Royal Oak, Double Bay have made a bit of a gain on Yandu.
yeah, the rest of the fleet's closed up a little. Well, the battle for 3, 4, 5 has closed up a little bit. In fact, Royal Oak might be in front of Yandu here. So that speaks of probably a bad tack on Yandu or something, because there was, you know, regulation 20, 30 second separation there. But we did note that Four Pines is quite quick.
Yeah, Woody sailed a little bit of a lower angle in that really up pressure we had at the beginning of the work. So it just meant that, you know, we know that the Royal Oak are really good in this stuff, and they just sailed a bit of a finer line and probably took a little bit out of them then. And then in, you know, following up the work, the Royal Oaks followed pretty much where Winning Group's gone, whereas Yandu more where Tech 2 was. So that might have been another bit of the difference, and it's just pulled some back in. So Tech 2 have tacked at Nielsen Park there, and the Winning Group have all the options in their hands there. They'll want to. It looks like they're going to sail a little bit further, and then potentially lamp on. There we go. Low risk sailing, not letting Tech 2 get in between them and the mark at all. So we've really seen it all so far, Bucko, haven't we? And we've still got a whole downwind to go.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting day, but Sydney Harbour, as usual, delivering a few extra ingredients. A little bit of rain, a little bit of spectator action, some cruising boats, but unusually, perhaps for this time of year, some cloud-induced volatile wind. But
we've had some great tactical battles going on today. You know, we've had Tech 2 and Winning Group have a few an incident first off on the first upwind, and then Tech 2 relegated to the middle of the fleet. We had you know, Vintech boys in up there, the Rag and Famish, and then we've seen it extend a little bit. So it's been a really tactical day. So thinking about where you are compared to the fleet and how you're going to take an advantage out of that.
yeah, but in the end here, this has come down to a bit of boat handling in this last lap to some degree. A bit of a drag race, and I do like the setup on Tech 2, as you know. Winning Group look like they've done a bit of work through the week. Theirs looks a lot better than it did a week ago. So the speed of these two boats is now evened out a bit, it seems to me.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much between them in terms of speed at all.
No.
So it's been a little bit about positioning your boat for the breeze that you've got on the racetrack, and really taking advantage of that. We saw that on the second work with Winning Group sailing the port tack, lifted tack for quite a while, whereas Tech 2 and the likes of Yandu and the others had to sail quite a long way on the knocked tack to get to any advantage, and that's where Winning Group extended that first time, and here they've just been able to sail conservatively and pick the shifts in their own way.
Yeah, Tech 2, just a bit of main flap going on there, so that tells you that puff 15 or something. And they'd be fancying they could get to the ley line in this thing here. And Winning Group might be overstood here. It's a big puff to tack in. Good job from the Tech 2 boys. Winning Group, I think, is overstood, Olivia.
It might look like that, especially, you know, in this up pressure, you're able to sail closer to the eye of the wind. So they may have overstood it when we came around Tech 2. We saw that they were quite close to it, but Winning Group is even further up here. Now, whether that was a conscious choice of not wanting to risk too much and have to do 2 tacks, they are feeling pretty confident in this up pressure, which is really tricky to sail if you're sailing a bit more of a reaching angle.
Well, they got a bit of main shit out there, as you would see. And enough wind now, the bear away becomes a bit of a challenge also. Full up-range stuff there.
Yeah, they are cracked sheets. They've even cracked a little bit of their jib off as well, so not wanting to blow too much back into the main sail. So yeah, they are in full send mode here. And
you know, Tech 2 tacked about 80 metres to leeward, and they will lay too, I think, looking at that.
Yeah, Tech 2 did tack in the right spot. You know, they're sailing less distance, but Winning Group are just sailing a little bit faster because they did overstand that ley line.
Interesting, if it was a bit more downrange, the overlay wouldn't hurt so much, but uprange it does hurt quite a bit. It's an interesting problem. The VMG mid-range, there's such a wide range you can put the bow in and get a similar result, but once you're uprange, the boat goes slow. Got some dolphins visiting us today, Olivia, as well, eh? How about that?
Oh, fantastic.
It's our lucky day. Anyway, challenging bear away here, so last lap again is down around Shark Island into the finish. Looks like it's going to be uprange.
Yeah, we're definitely in uprange here. So as the Winning Group approaches the top mark, if they hadn't overstood that, they probably would have even been like further ahead. But you know, they're doing really well to get around here. There is a puff,
and they're pretty comfortable on the bear away, so they're getting confident about that.
Beautiful set there.
Pretty good set for the wind strength, in fact. Tech 2 next, and perfectly laid. I mean, beautifully. Jib's still bolted in. They're just getting the jib out of the cleat now, so very accurate judgment of the ley line. Winning Group about 20 seconds in front, 30 seconds perhaps. Winning Group got the job done. Yes, just in the background. All good.
Yeah, it was definitely an up pressure jibe, wasn't it? And Tech 2, an up pressure set here, meaning they had to sail quite a long way down to the leeward side. A little tangle in there with the jib as well.
And I forgot the spinnaker sheet for a second, so that wasn't in their highlights reel. So looking at that, that's the race for first. As noted, we think Winning Group might suffer disqualification. Probably, you know, there's plenty of yachting yet to go. The next boat around will be Royal Oak 4 Pines. How about that?
Yeah, so they had a great tactical battle with Yandu and Andu as well. You know, we saw at the bottom bark, all of them within 30 seconds of each other, but the Royal Oak have sailed in line with where the Winning Group was. So we're thinking very similarly tactically, and they were in third place. So Yandu have just tacked along with Andu. So the Royal Oak in third, they'd be happy with that.
Well, it's funny, they do tend to start slowly, but they always keep chipping away, so
Yandu just tacking on the ley line there into fourth. A great race from Yandu, being the leeward side of the start line, and then keeping on chipping away the whole way around the racetrack. They've got a big pack coming at us now with Andu leading Finport and the Rag and Famish. So Andu, big Vang off as they make it round, was expecting a bit of puff.
I think Broken Vang would be more accurate.
Yeah, it does look a little bit like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Looking a bit like a balloon out there, their mainsail, instead of tight like the Finport and the Rag and Famish around them. Great set from Finport there, although the main is off, so they just can't quite get around the likes of Andu. Royal Oak looking to jibe there. Yep, there we go. Sitting in third place. Tech 2 and Winning Group have, cemented themselves as first and second, with Royal Oak and Yandu in third and fourth. But there is a fair gap there. They were able to just sail away in some great pressure downwind. Shaw and Partners and Smeg are the next two round the top mark, both opting to jibe set, making their way into the middle of the race course.
So the top 10, Winning Group, Tech 2, Royal Oak 4 Pines, Yandu, Andu, Finport, Rag and Famish, Shaw and Partners, Smeg, Bird and Bear, Kitchen Maker, Vintech and Noakes sailing.
Chase leaders.
So the Bird and Bear just rounding the top mark there after a capsize and a dodgy first set as well. So, Doz are bringing the boat back into the race. So nice little procession as we go along here with the Royal Oak, Double Bay 4 Pines and Yandu, Andu and Finport, a nice little group that are all rounded really tightly together.
So for the viewers, the first part of this leak down to the jibe mark of VMG Run, and then a tightening reach into the mark itself. And there's quite a narrow window. We have talked about this before, but perhaps 60 or 80 metres wide to get an optimum result.
Yeah,
both the leaders have done this race enough times that they will get this close, I think. And looking downwind, Tech 2 is in contact.
Yeah, Tech 2 and Winning Group are very close and they're really tight. Bucko, you said that there was quite a short kind of gap for them to fit through with Nielsen Park and Shark Island. Winning Group is the boat down to leeward and ahead of Tech 2, but Tech 2 are sitting a little bit further up, so they might be in a better position coming around the mark.
Well, Winning Group had to back red or black and they put it on red or something, Whereas Tech 2's still got options by the look of that. Anyway, travelling with 4 Pines, and they're looking like they're on a pretty good lay.
So you can see there from that drone shot that Winning Group is looking comfortable there now. It's really it's tricky to tell from halfway back up, but they've been able to work their way up, sail a bit of a higher line and get towards the ley line for that mark.
Yeah, both.
So you can see Tech 2 sailing quite fast there in some great pressure, but they are still sitting in second, and Winning Group held their lead down that tricky run.
Yeah, but if we chase them to the finish, we'll find out if indeed Winning Group is finished or finished.
Yes, exactly. Whether they are in this race, they will get a hooter if they are. And otherwise it will be most likely Tech 2, as I don't think they were close to the start line in that UFD start. So Winning Group have jibed around the mark. and are making their way to the finish. There shouldn't be too many jibes or any manoeuvres. It should just be a straight run down here, Bucko.
Yep, depending on any volatility, they're in line. The gap is not very big though, is it?
No, it's not. It's not that 30-second that we had before. It's, you know, it's halved, even gone down to 10 seconds.
It's one error. That's what that is. One little error. The margin.
Yeah, these front runners are sailing the boat quite differently. You know, Winning Group sitting, Jibe taking a little bit further away, whereas Tech 2 sitting a little bit further to windward, wanting to have a little bit more options in case the breeze does heat up. So the finish line over in the vicinity of Clark Island at the top of your screen.
Go to the finish line. Yeah, just stay with the fixer.
Go forward a bit.
Let's go forward a bit, yeah. Go halfway between the two of them. Between the two.
No.
No, not between the two, but here.
So there's a little bit of a lightening in pressure. Winning Group coming up towards Tech 2's line.
Bit more.
And Winning Group getting back into that pressure again and able to sail a similar line to Tech 2. So they are on lay to the finish, Bucko.
Yep, it's the everyday north-northeast lay line, and that's what they're on. And I think, barring accidents, that's how they'll finish.
Yeah, Tech 2 are looking to just throw everything they've got at Winning Group, sailing a higher line, trying to entice Winning Group to come up with them, sail some extra distance, potentially cause a mistake.
Tech 2 a little quicker when they're in the same wind, I think, but Winning Group now easing main sheet, so responding to a certain degree here.
Yeah, that's a good defence strategy from the Winning Group. Just come up and match Tech 2's line. There's no need to do too much more. You're still breathing ahead of where Tech 2's wind is, so you're still going to get any pressure that comes down the course. And it looks to be a little bit consistent, if not potentially lightening off in the last 30 seconds.
They're both actually going to have to jibe now.
It does look like there may be some jibes involved. If this breeze lightens off, that's definitely going to have to happen.
Yep. Well, just Winning Group could have VMG'd away perhaps, but they've just taken the sort of low-risk option really, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, and they've sailed a really low-risk, strong, tactical race today.
Get to the line.
So just see when...
Stay right. Straighten up now. We should just stay where we were, Bucko.
Winning Group have sailed a very, very good race. You know, usual crew of Herman, Sam, and Sevi, wanting to really just put a nice race together. The first scratch race of the season, the New South Wales Championship Race 1. Winning Group being the sponsor of the day. Responding there to the Tech 2 jibe.
Tech 2 having a shot at them here. Still pretty good race in both boats actually, really, Olivia.
Yeah, remembering that Tech 2 infringed on Winning Group and did a penalty turn.
But we're about to find out if Winning Group was over the line as we anticipated. And I don't think they'll get a horn. No.
Okay, so no horn there for Winning Group.
No, because they couldn't see where Winning Group was.
Tech 2 are the boat to get the first horn across the race, across the finish line. It would actually be quite a shock to them, Bucko, because they wouldn't have known where Winning Group was at the start.
Exactly.
So a really solid race there from both boats, but Tech 2 take the first race in the New South Wales Championship with a 5-race series. It's a nice one to have up your sleeve. So I think Winning Group can still take a bit of confidence out of that race. They'll be really happy with the way they sailed, but a little bit unfortunate and risky at that start. So the Royal Oak Double Bay Four Pines are currently in 3rd place over Yandu and then in Finport. So Royal Oak have done quite well to hold into that 3rd place ahead of Yandu, who sailed really well the entire season so far.
Just let the boat strip down beside us.
So, the mighty Four Pines chewed its way to 2nd.
Yes, sorry, I said 3rd, but no, you're right, it is 2nd.
See? Ding. How many fingers am I holding on it, Luke?
Numbers have never been my strong point, Bucko. Anyone who knows me knows that one.
All right.
Yeah, so I do know 2nd quite well, but the Royal Oak Double Bay Four Pines takes 2nd in the first race of the New South Wales Championship.
And Yandu, therefore, 3rd, we think. Yep. Royal Oak just squeezing down to finish without jibing. Yandu will get 3rd. Finport.
We do need to keep also in mind, Bucko, that we don't know who else was over at the start. So some of these boats may not finish.
There's some suspicion, shall we say,
Yeah, exactly.
about Andu and Shaw and Partners, correct?
Yeah, and I was wondering whether it was whether the Royal Oak also got a hooter, but I don't quite remember where they were on the start line. It didn't look like they got a hooter, but we'll see how we go, because this UFD is something that is probably new to quite a few of the 18-foot skiff fleet, where if you're over within 1 minute of the start, you cannot return.
I think some of the fleet, i.e. SMEG, was oblivious of the red and white flag.
Yeah, SMEG were one of the ones that went back to restart.
There's no point.
There's no point, because you're already disqualified. It's kind of like a black flag, but if in case there's a general recall, you do get to have another go at the start. So what a day.
What a race, what a day.
So,
As we finish on the water, so the front of the peloton here coming in now, led by Bird and Bear, Kitchen Maker, Vintec. So Vintec, unfortunately, couldn't maintain shape on the bottom reach the first time. Apart from that, they're showing some good signs for first season crew.
Yeah, they are. They've sailed really well over the last few days. The last few weeks, piecing together more parts of a race. Today wasn't a full race, but they'll take a bit of confidence in that they were quite light compared to some of the other crews, and that's where they came unstuck on that first downwind run.
So that's the top dozen, and Noak's having a tough day with the wrong rig in, but not by their choice. So they've done it. They've done well to tough it out, and they probably learned something about sailing underpowered. One suspects.
Yeah, there's always things to learn out here. Every day you're sailing.
Okay. Yeah.
So we've seen it all today, Bucko. I've had a ball out here.
Well, we've got the best seats in the house. If we're not having fun here, we're not having fun, are we? So, folks, that's it. The first heat of the State Championship for the 18s this year. The sponsorship from Winning Group for the overall event. Obviously, the Winning Group crew will be a bit disappointed about not getting finished.
Just head back up there. You guys carry on
And-
close it down. I just want to get some pictures of these two boats.
And a complex day on Sydney Harbour, not your regulation nor'east by any stretch. But the quality of the racing augurs well for the rest of the scratch races over the period between now and to Christmas. On behalf of the Camera Cat today, Vaughan driving, Olivia, Pez Hasgard, Jono, AeroMedia, and Annie catching the drone. I'm Andrew Buckland. I hope you can join us same time next week. Thank you, Olivia.
Thanks, Bucko.